This is Trophy, the Scoundrels Quarter, Part 22. We are back after a nearly 5 month break from the campaign. We've had a lot of things happening in the interval in terms of our lives and schedules, and also we took a purposeful break away from the campaign. We're back. We have to do some housekeeping before we can kind of kick off with the adventure. First bit of housekeeping is we did have another session that we recorded. It was a short session where we did Hearthfire and we kind of started a little bit of like journey. We lost that video. That video is gone. I don't know where it is. It didn't end up in the playlist, and I cannot find it on the computer. So what we've decided to do, since there's been so much time between those sessions, and because we don't know where that last video is, we are going to just Hearthfire will have just happened off camera. The characters are basically reset at this point, and we're going to just proceed and we're going to just kind of reset into the next incursion and kind of kick off from there. So this is kind of like a little kind of mid-campaign or late campaign reset. I mean, the story is still ongoing, but there might be a couple little things that we're kind of missing from last time. But I will note, though, that the very last thing we did was we did a Trophy Dark thing. We did Regicide, where we learned about the backstory of the bull, the beetle, and the fox, who are our three big bad villains in the campaign. And then prior to that, we did Trophy Gold, and we did the Smoldering Moor incursion. That's where we first met the fox. And all that happened. We met a brand new character then, Alina. We did have a little like short Trophy Gold bit with Torum and Jack's new character, Berwin. And so we met Berwin. And so now we have Alina and Berwin essentially new to the group. They've both been on their own separate little adventures, and now they're together for the first time. We're going to be kicking off with the Huntsman's Manor incursion, but before we do that, because it has been such a big gap for everyone, I think we should go ahead and reintroduce the characters. And here I'd like to do a very thorough reintroduction. Who they are, their drives, all of their like bookkeeping stuff, like burdens and all that business, skills. I'd really like to hear about your equipment too. I think we should probably really do our best to lean into some of this equipment you've been finding and using it to get advantage and to do things. But also it'll be helpful for us to just be reminded of all the cool stuff your characters have on them. So that'll be great as well. And so I'm going to go in order of the sheet, which means we'll be starting with Torum. And so Torum, let's just be reminded at a high level who you are, and then let's go through all these details.
Torum is a cured beast-bitten bodyguard who he is like a hulking, heavily armored man that the party encountered in some kind of strange other dimension and brought him back with them.
in the Rhyme Palace, actually.
Yes. Now his even though he's a huge, hulking, monstrous beast of a man, his drive is to attend Countess Shima's forbidden festival. I think he has a kind of a love and a fascination with all things fae and of the fairy court, and all things kind of delicate and beautiful, and also mazes and labyrinths, because his beast form was bull-like when he was a beastman. In terms of, he has a couple of conditions that affect how he looks. The first being that he has Queen Banmuir's handprint seared into his face. There he has this huge kind of burned scar handprint across his face, and he also has horns now that he acquired somewhere along the line. So that's some aspect of his beast nature kind of returning to the fore. Skills-wise, protection, speed, vigilance, and transformation. He has a couple of rituals, yoke, which allows him to apply the strength of a spectral bull to a situation, very thematic with his character. And he also acquired this one, burning voice, which allows him to scream forth a flame that burns the spirit within a target's body. He picked that up along the way. He is heavily armored. He has a ringmail shirt, a sturdy helmet, studded gauntlets, and carries a masterwork longsword and a sky metal glaive, which I think was something he picked up along the way, and I forget exactly what the deal was with that. That all gives him a burden of 7, which is pretty high. Starting rune is only 2 though, because that second ritual was a freebie, I think. Um, he has got some interesting found equipment. Lady Peril's ring, which helps him navigate or see through illusions.
Yes, yeah. It like
Uh,
manipulates it. Like it can like it does something to manipulate illusions or has some kind of effect on illusions. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Polished hand mirror that can show things not seen by the eye. So these are both things that help him kind of see the truth of something. He has a beast bitten skull, spices from an overturned card, a skeleton key, and the costume that he wore at the Rhine Court. He's got a whopping 7 gold stashed away in his hoard, and he keeps that in a hollowed out lightning struck tree just outside of Fort Durin. And his household is a stall on the farm of Eretza, a blind widow who lives just outside Fort Durin. I think that's about everything about
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Friend Torum.
Yeah, that's good. I yeah, I think I feel pretty well caught up there. Let's go ahead and go over to Ben and uh Cassian. Is Cassian our longest surviving character in this campaign?
He is the only remaining character from the first incarnation. So he's the grumpy teen dad pretty much at this point. Cassian is a naturalist who was formerly a runaway Kingsguard, and his drive initially had to do with exposing the truth of the king's true nature. But that's changed since the death of his friend Malkuth, and he is now sworn to help Malkuth's sibling break the siege on their fortress. He has the skills of beasts, plants, silence, and tracking, and the rituals of gardener, so he can consume a plant to absorb its memories, and scarecrow, so he can create a construct of straw and burlap that will endlessly hunt a named target. In For his equipment, he has a stiff wool cloak that has been torn and repaired numerous times over the past adventures, a mirrored snakeskin armor that he's very proud of,
That was
and an
very
amulet of,
memorably acquired. Yeah.
oh yes, and an amulet of protection. And for his weapons, he has a masterwork longsword that once belonged to one of his other friends, and a sky metal glaive that I I remember getting, but I don't remember the circumstances thereof. So with his ability to consume a plant and absorb some of its memories, he's used that to learn a couple things, and he is sitting on some information that maybe one day he'll get to use, such as a path through the temple of the Starlight Serpent to get to the land of the dead, which he's still kind of sitting on the back of his head that he wants to bring his pals back. So that might be a thing he'll get to use at some point. He also has a an unburnt star candle, which will, in theory, give him some extra oomph on a risk roll associated with a ritual at night, and a glass bottle of beast bitten blood from the fellow at Hester's Mill, whose name I can't remember. The werewolf guy.
Sorry, I was typing. Yeah, no, that's great.
Cauldron. That's it. Cauldron.
Yep. Cauldron.
Oh,
Love
and
all
he also
that.
has Malkuth's egg, the
Right.
snake egg. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's really, really intriguing. Um, love all that. You know, I have to say, just as a little tangent, I really love how the armor, the egg, all that business with the in the Starlight Temple, like how far back that stuff reaches into Gauntlet lore. Because for those of you, for the two of you who are watching this, who probably remember, um, those things, that location goes all the way back to my first or one of my first podcasts, Discern Realities, from back in like 2014 or 15 or something. And that dungeon has gone through several iterations and through several systems and ended up in Trophy Gold and now here, which I think, I don't know, I love. I love gaming genealogies like that. I don't know, it's weird. Okay, let's keep going. Um, with our newish character, Alina.
Yes, I am playing Alina. She is new. She is a devotee of the sisters. She is very, I suppose, faithful, I suppose would be the word. We haven't discovered why, but we know she's been kicked out of the conclave that she was living in. Her place that she is living is just a room and board across the way from the conclave, so she can keep an eye on it. Her occupation is medium. Her background is expelled apprentice, and she is trying to earn the respect of the governor of Fort Durin, supposedly to make her way back into the good graces of the conclave, as far as everyone knows. Um, I have 5 burdens, and my starting rune is 3. My 5 burdens are because I have 2 rituals. One is ashes, which is burn something irreplaceable to turn a creature or object to
Oh, sorry.
dust.
To be clear, starting ruin is what affect rituals affect your starting ruin, and then
Yeah,
equipment affects your burdens.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I said that backwards. Um, and then the other ritual I have is guide, which is conjure a thread to follow. My skills are spirits, vigilance, willpower, and lore. I have a few things in my backpack: some more iron spikes, a mallet, a little tent. Apparently, I had a chain and used it. Missed that chain. My combat equipment. I also have an amulet of protection and a stiff wool cloak. I think other people had that too. I have some study gauntlets and a curved ritual knife to do fighting. My found equipment. I don't have a lot. I have a crystallized ember. I have hollow bronze sister statue. Oh, I have an albino peacock from the Rhinefort Palace.
You inherited the
Who,
peacock.
yeah, who's I named Gerald Jr., GJ for short. And also have a sky metal glaive, yeah, in my equipment. I'm not using it as a weapon. I don't have anything in my hoard. Um, and I haven't really done any of the other Hearthfire stuff. So yeah, I do have a condition. My condition is cursed by Saint Ara because I burned her to death in a previous mishap.
That's right. I love it. Fabulous. Thank you. All right, let's go to Jack and our very, very new character, Berwin.
It's Berwin, baby. Pronouns are he, him. Currently have 5 burdens, with a starting rune of 3. I'm sitting pretty with no conditions. He is sort of just kind of like a bumbling everyman, also a ginger, which is very important to note. But his occupation is as an intercessor, but his background is an uninspired artisan. His drive is to give his betrothed the present they crave. His skills are charm, persistence, rituals, and crafting, which are related to both his occupation and background. He has 2 rituals, which are also very much involved with his current occupation of intercessing, which is to channel, which is allowing spirits to act through him, and circle, which is to use salt, specifically creating a ring of salt to prevent any kind of violence from happening within it. He has some backpack equipment. He's got an hourglass with 10-minute markers. He's got some numbing herbs, sewing kit, presumably to keep his cloak all nice and spiffy and free of holes. He's got some combat equipment too. That stiff wool cloak that he keeps patching up. An amulet for protection, which I guess the most remarkable thing about that is that it's a 9-pointed star for Robert Ilsnar. He's got a heavy crossbow. Doesn't like to get too up close to the combat. He likes to keep a distance. He's got some found equipment, a bag of salt, the good stuff, which he got on his first meeting with, or after his first meeting with Torum, when they went to the salt mines to deal with the witch that was living down there back in Barrett. And then he has 3 shards of the Searing Spectre, those creatures that were at the Smoldering Moor. I did do some Hearthfire stuff in that episode that's now lost. So I mean, I can either go over it again or we can do it next time. But I do note that we did establish a tavern that I go to. It's called the Immediate Mole. But otherwise, that's Berwyn in a nutshell.
We'll revisit all your Hearthfire stuff when we do it
Yeah.
again. Fabulous, thank you. The Scoundrel's Quarter is currently at 1 ruin, so you're good to go there. Helpfully, someone, I think Amanda, I'm not sure, has been keeping track of campaign threads, and so let's go over those. We do have a lord in the Lavasti countryside who wants the characters to help redevelop Torrens Bend under their leadership. That is something you all can choose to go pursue at some point, whenever we're not doing a hard frame into the campaign. Bana is in the Shadowlands. We've talked about that already. That's a thing that can be done. Rescuing them. The ruins of King Argyll Seo may lead to an entrance to Old Caldur. Former adventurer Tekla's notes have led us there. You can kind of go pursue Old Caldur. That would be a big deal. And the Beetle, the Bull, and the Fox care about that a lot too, by the way. We have gold at the Last River. That is something that you've been made aware of. There is also a bounty on the head of a villain called Merrick Folcolt that you can all pursue. We do have this Marquess who disappeared 100 years ago. Their hunting lodge has been found. That's what we're doing right now. Another big one, Malkuth's Hoard. We lost Malkuth, but Malkuth had a ton of money and had it well hidden. And you all know the location of the hoard. We have noted this. And at some point, maybe on the way back from the Huntsman's Manor, your characters can go try to find it and acquire it, because it was a lot of money and not. It's a shame that it would just be lost to whoever else stumbles on it. So, with all that said, let me go ahead and introduce our incursion, and then we'll take a little quick break to get coffee and stuff. The Huntsman's Manor. Alight! Alight! The huntsman calls, with sun already set. The quarry springs as twilight falls, a trophy now to get. The moon above shines o'er the hunt, and hot breath fogs the air. The master surges to the front, the trophy now is there. As hot blood runs and soaks the ground, and hunger now's been paid, the pack to which you have been bound, a trophy you've been made. Let's take 5. The Huntsman's Manor. The politically unremarkable Marquess Niral was a hunting prodigy, building his hunting manor on the edges of the forest to hunt the most challenging prey. After his disappearance over a century ago, the manor was abandoned. But what amazing treasures and trophies still remain? Well, there is one such treasure, possibly, at the abandoned manor. A rumor has reached you all. A rumor of a book. Servants of the manor said that the Marquess took notes on the creatures he encountered and slew within the forest of Old Caldur. This bestiary would be among the most treasured and indeed best resources for those venturing within the forest's borders. Can you get a copy of said book or not? We shall find out.
Did we decide who our new bestiary is after Malkuth died?
Oh, you're like bestiary, yeah, the I don't know if you did. Someone better get on it.
Berwyn certainly doesn't have the stomach to tattoo himself, so.
Are you going to be tattooing yourself? Yes, that's the question.
Alina can do it, but she's not tattooing herself. That would go against
Sharpie.
Yeah, that would go against the sisters.
No, we'll decide it in the moment.
For her.
For now, you are at the Marquess's abandoned manor. And among whatever other treasures might be there in this manor that is recently found, there is the possibility of finding the Marquess's hunting notes, which would be very valuable indeed. Our theme for this incursion is pursuit. While the Marquess Niral was unremarkable in political influence, he was highly regarded in his skills as a hunter. People considered it the height of folly for him to build his manor as close as he did to the forest, but he would only laugh and say that he built where the prey was. Our first set is the overgrown gardens. These once formal gardens, decorated with raised flower beds and topiaries, have become completely overgrown. Most of the flowers, trees, and paths are choked thick with blackberry brambles, in case you weren't completely sick of blackberries yet. I will tell you as you approach the gardens, and indeed, eventually, the manor itself, the hunting lodge itself, you'll notice a few things. Just beyond the manor's entrance, deep into the courtyard in between the manor and the gate, are what appear to be several large wolves enjoying a fresh kill in a clear patch of short grass. You also see a greenhouse off to one side, and a little further afield, if you were to go into the front gate and then walk a path, an easterly path, you would see the entrance to a grand hedge maze. And so I think we'll just pick up there with the four of you at the gate. You have a very simple set goal here, which is to enter the manor itself, which is past the gate, past the courtyard, across the way. But you have some other things that you can investigate as well. The scene is yours. I'll interrupt as needed. Dice will interrupt as needed. Role play.
Be wary of those wolves. Predators such as them do not appreciate being interrupted.
The sisters will protect us. There's no need to worry about wolves.
I think when you say that, you see Berwyn coming up the rear, and he's got sort of his cloak wrapped around him, like almost kind of like a little mini basket, and he's been just eating blackberries nonstop. So delicious. I don't know why you all won't partake. I mean, God.
Oof. If I never see another blackberry again, too soon.
What's all
Well,
this business about wolves?
you didn't see them?
Oh, I was very picky. Sort of got lost in it.
Who is this guy? Where did you find him? Why is he here?
Well, I will have you know, Torm and I, and he sort of goes up to Torm and slaps him on the back. I imagine Torm's like a good 1.5 feet taller than him. Yeah, well, we traveled together. We survived the salt mines of Amberette. We're heroes, really.
I think Torum gives him a kind of narrow-eyed look, but makes no comment.
See, he's humble. He's very humble.
How fast can you run?
Oh well, I mean, as fast as anybody, I suppose. Should I be concerned?
Just
This
good to know.
This is the forest of the Kaldur. We should always be concerned.
Oh, pish. The sisters will protect us.
Pish.
This is not the territory of the sisters.
Everywhere is the territory of the sisters, Cassian.
I suppose that's true, although occasionally their territory does get a little warm, doesn't it, Alina?
I don't know what you mean. and I would rather change the subject if you don't mind. Now, if you are so good with forests, Cassian, which way should we go?
Well,
Dear
we've come for a
leader.
book.
I think
I
while this
recommend
is
through the
happening,
gate.
I think while this
Go
is
to the
happening,
house.
though, Torum is kind of starting to walk in the direction of this hedge maze.
So you're kind of going. You're not going straight through the courtyard, kind of going around to the hedge
I'm,
maze.
I'm, I'm going to look at it.
Interesting.
Look at the entrance.
You can make a circle around the sort of like front kind of like courtyard area before the manor and avoid the wolves pretty easily as long as you give them a wide berth to get over to the entrance to the hedge maze. Go ahead and do the hunt roll. I think we should all take a moment to be reminded of the rules of this game. There are rolls. Let's remember how they work. Let's see here. The hunt roll is 1 die just for doing a thing, and then a second die if you can justify it with a skill or piece of equipment.
I would maybe make a case for vigilance as a skill, just for, watching out for things not being as they seem, but also perhaps my polished hand mirror that can show into things not seen by the eye,
Oh, very interesting.
to see
Very
if there's
interesting.
anything to this maze more than there appears.
Tell you what, I'll make you a deal.
Mm.
If you're willing to put the hand mirror at risk, I'll let you have 3 dice. 1 for vigilance, 1 for the hand mirror, and 1 for just 1 die.
Sure. At risk in what respect? Like if I
Meaning,
fail this?
I might just destroy it because it
Sure.
feels right.
Sounds good.
Do a 3 die hunt roll, a rare 3 die hunt roll.
A 5.
A 5. Go ahead and take your token. I will tell you that as you are making your way around, you find that near the entrance of the hedge maze, the hedge is intertwined with a little bit of the blackberry bramble. You can see that blackberries have fallen to the ground and split open. Their juice is thick, too thick, perhaps, and quite red. And even more ominous, some of the bramble you hear over your shoulder a slight rustling. And when you turn, you don't see anything, but you get that sensation like someone was reaching out to you and managed to pull their hand away just as you turned around. And when you turn around, you just see wild blackberry bramble in the hedge. Let's pick up with the others. Torum's wandered off looking at the hedge maze. What are the rest of you doing?
So we're in front of the gates. The wolves are between us and the house.
Yes. And then there's the greenhouse, which is kind of on the opposite side of the entrance to the hedge maze.
I'm remembering the story of Saint Erlia. Do you recall? I'm sure you know this story, where she was testing her disobedient followers by leading them through a hedge maze that was being followed by wasps and bees. Just something I'm thinking of watching Torum over there. But I myself am not interested in being followed by wasps, so I think I'm going to see if there's a way to get through the greenhouse.
As in get to the other, like to go in the greenhouse or to like use the
Yeah.
greenhouse as a shortcut somewhere?
I think the idea is to go into the greenhouse and see if there's another exit to get around the use the greenhouse to get around the wolves.
I see. To get into the manor another way. I like that very much. Yeah, that's really good. Go ahead and just do a hunt roll as you approach the greenhouse.
Do I have anything that is useful? Lore? Can I sell you on
No.
that one?
No.
Dang it.
Any
5.
items that might be helpful? Okay, 5. Take your token. You are walking towards the greenhouse. You come across a row of white roses that has tangled to form one giant thorned bush. Perhaps because you're naive and foolish, you reach out to caress a petal with fond admiration for the work of the sisters. When you can feel a thorn prick your fingertip. And you get the distinct impression that the roses shift in place just a little bit. The entrance to the greenhouse is wide open. You can go inside.
I look down at my fingers, the little hill of blood just sort of bubbling up. Well, I suppose I can consider it a blessing from St. Cor, the Sister of Roses. And I just sort of wipe it on my coat and step into the greenhouse.
Alina's
See
ability
what's
to
in there.
process every situation through the blessings of the sisters is impressive. We'll come back to that. What are you doing right now, Cassian?
I think Cassian is looking at Berwin and says, I hope you can run faster than Alina.
All this talk of running making me nervous. And he starts to look around and realizes that he's he's coming down from the sort of the high of all these delicious organic blackberries and realizing that he's in this sort of creeping forest. Perhaps I have an idea. If the gate and thereabouts is the most direct way, and we have these wolves, well, perhaps. And he starts to rifle through his backpack, and he takes out his little bag of salt, the good stuff. Um, and I would like to, if it's okay, pull out some twine. And my idea here is that I would like to use my circle ritual, but what I want to do is attach the bag of salt to the twine and just sort of twirl it around us, like above, sort of creating the circle above us constantly, so that when we're walking through, we're always within a circle of
Oh,
salt.
very clever, very clever. I like that very much. This is going to be a risk roll. You have the circle ritual, I assume. And let's talk about dice. Boy, oh boy, I would kill for a handy summary of the of the die roll rules. Where does anybody know where those can be found? It has been a long time since I played Trophy, folks.
I thought there was a reference tab.
I thought there was too, but maybe I'm. Oh no, here it is. I found it. It's on the character part. Risk roll. When attempting a risky task, declare what you hope will happen. You've done that, and ask the GM and other players what could go wrong, folks. Everybody can speak. What could go wrong here?
These are wolves and not spirits or magical beings. They are going to ignore the salt.
Oh, they're like just straight up wolves. So the circle ritual says, let's read here.
Creature within a ring of salt cannot inflict or suffer violence.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I think it could be as simple as it just doesn't work, right? And you have to fight these things. It seems like the most straightforward outcome, but I'm interested in other outcomes if anybody has any more intriguing or interesting thoughts than that.
The salt makes you extra tasty. Extra tasty.
The wolves are like really into
Really
it.
seasoned.
Yeah.
It is the good stuff.
It's the good stuff. Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the next part of this. So, okay, well, you're going to take one light die if your background or occupation gives you any number of skills that can assist you. So, do you have a skill that will be helpful?
I have skill in rituals.
Love it. And then you take a light die for accepting a devil's bargain from another player or GM. A reminder that devil's bargains are complications that will occur no matter the outcome of the roll. I will offer a devil's bargain that no matter what, one of the wolves will break off and go report about your presence to whoever is in the manor. Any other offers on the table?
No matter what, spirits see this circle that you've placed down and become more interested in you.
Yeah, I
no
was
matter.
thinking whatever it was that was reaching out for Torum starts following the trail of salt.
No matter what, the circle makes it so you can't touch anything either for a time.
Interesting. I'm just gonna take Jason's. I think that'll set up some fun stuff later.
You have 2 light dice, and you have to take a dark die because you're doing a ritual, so go ahead and roll risk. 2 light, 1 dark.
6 light.
6 light. We'll come back to this. Be thinking about what it looks like, though, as you navigate past the wolves. Torum, are you going inside the hedge maze?
I think I am
The hedge maze is a brand new
fascinated
set.
by it.
Yeah. The hedge maze is a brand new set. The stone archway that served as an entrance to this maze is almost completely covered with vines and overgrowth from the hedges. Inside, you find that the once perfectly shaped hedges have turned somewhat feral. The maze can still be navigated, if only just. Your goal here is to reach the center of the maze. Do you begin trying to navigate it?
I do. I think Torum knows the trick of navigating any maze, that if you put one hand on the wall and just never take it off and keep walking, eventually you must reach the center.
This is going to be a risk roll. Amanda, what could go wrong here?
The maze shifts, and following the wall is not going to get you to the center.
Indeed, it probably leads you into a trap, I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk dice. As you've described it, do you have a skill or item that will help you here?
I do have that vigilance skill. And there's always Lady Peril's ring. If there is
Lady Peril's ring. Yeah.
any manner of illusion going on with this.
I like that. I like Lady Peril's ring helping you out in this. You have 1 light die. Ben, you can make the devil's bargain.
Lady Peril knows you're using her ring.
Oh, interesting.
But I have that.
2 light die. And it's not fundamentally dangerous yet, so you can just go ahead and roll 2 light.
And the dark. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's a light for Devil's Bargain. I always think it's a dark for some reason.
Yeah.
That's a 6.
Nice.
6 light.
Congratulations. We will come back to this scene in a moment. Alina, inside the greenhouse. The greenhouse is a pile of rusted iron and shattered glass. It is sort of vaguely greenhouse shaped, we'll say. Beneath the rubble that you're able to kind of step through and dig around through are broken clay pots and mostly dead plants. It's not easy to navigate it because it's sort of half collapsed, but what do you do?
Is there anything that looks intact?
Make a hunt roll.
Just seeing if there's anything in my skills that I could use, but there isn't really. So, I got a 6 light. Obviously light.
Dice are very kind today.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take your hunt roll token. You're looking around and you see, sheltered by 2 panes of glass, is a really beautiful, well-preserved orchid in shades of purple and white. What do you do?
Well, obviously this is a gift, a sign from the sisters that this beautiful orchid could grow in this mess. So the only appropriate thing to do would be to lean over and smell it.
It does have a quite strong perfume to it. The orchid is potted and can be transported and would be worth 1 gold to any person of means who appreciates beautiful things, possibly more money to orchidists, because this is an orchid that was found in a century abandoned, or a century-long abandoned greenhouse.
Yeah,
How
I'm
could such a
absolutely into
flower
that.
even survive, right? But you know,
The sisters.
the sisters.
Yeah, it's a blessed flower.
You can add this extremely rare orchid to your found equipment.
Yes.
Berwin, Cassian, give us the scene with the 2 of you reaching the manor's entrance. What does this look like?
So he rifles through his backpack, pulls out this tiny sack of salt, and he takes out the twine and kind of like ties a knot around it so that it sort of creates like a long talisman. Stay close, Mr. Cassian. And he hoists it above himself and starts to whip it around as quickly as he can. And as he does, he starts to intone the spell. And as they start to walk, there's sort of like this silvery, luminescent dust that sort of falls around them. It's kind of creates this like pillar of white shimmering light. And I think as we're walking around, some of the wolves are like growling and checking us out. Maybe even one like rushes up and tries to like paw at it or bite it, but there's that shimmer that sort of flashes that when he tries to claw at it and backs away.
Cassian, you'll notice that the wolves are eating from a fairly fresh kill. It appears to be the corpse of a person. As the wolves look at you, as they test the boundaries of the magic and realize they can't break it, they nevertheless look at you. What about their expressions gives you the distinct feeling that they have, that these creatures are more than just animal intelligences, that they have a cunning to them?
Cassian is a naturalist. The forest is almost a second home to him, and he is quite aware of creatures and especially predators and how they hunt and move. And these ones are not just staring at their centers of mass or their eyes as we walk. They are appraising us in a very a disconcerting way, I think. And as Cassian notices that, he's just gonna just mutter something under his breath.
Before you all can reach the entrance to the manor, one of the wolves darts off ahead of you and goes right through the front door of the manor and up some stairs. You can see well enough to see that they are going up the grand staircase.
These are
Torum.
not
Oh, yes.
wolves.
Okay. We can keep having that scene if we want. I like it.
That's all he'd say.
Well, what was that, Mr. Cassian?
They're not wolves, Berwin.
Well, what are they then?
I suspect we'll find out sooner than we'd like.
Let them try.
Torum. The hedge maze. As you navigate it, you always hear occasionally the sound of, or you occasionally hear the sound of rustling behind you, much like you did upon entering. And whenever you turn, you see that things look a little different. And then you turn back and you see that the path turns to the right, but didn't you come from the left? You can tell that you're getting closer. Closer to the center of the maze. At one point, you see in a little clearing in the maze, not on your path, what appears to be a stone statue of a rearing elk, moss covered, the head and antlers shattered on the ground. Do you leave the path to investigate, or do you keep going?
So I could tell that this is definitely not the way to the center of the maze.
If you step away to go toward the statue, yes.
I think I keep going. The maze is more interesting.
At another point, at the intersection of two paths is a large circular lawn. Taking up most of the space is a white gazebo, though the white is streaked, faded, and tinged green from moss stains. Within the gazebo is a small bench, just wide enough for two people to sit together. What do you do?
There's nobody there, presumably.
No.
I'll take a quick look inside to see if there's anything left on the bench or under the bench. Or...
Make the hunt roll.
Going to bring up that vigilance again. Let's go. Okay.
I think here I'll give it to
more.
you. Yeah.
Okay. So that's 2 light, right?
Mm-hmm.
5.
Take your token. As you approach the bench, you can't see them, but you can tell someone is sitting on the bench. You even hear a little tap tap next to them on the bench, as if they want you to sit down with them. What do you do?
Seems you are trying to speak to me. Come then. Speak plainly. And Tom will sit on the bench.
You sit on the bench to realize you're sitting next to Lady Peril. If I
My
recall,
lady.
yeah, if I recall correctly, she's a tall fae wearing gossamer gowns, but also with horns and all kinds of foresty accoutrement. In any case, she's kind of shifting in and out of your perception, but she's there. And she says, "Ah, the one that got away."
Bow my head.
She reaches for your hand, and though you can't feel her take it, you know that she is gently stroking her fingers across her ring. Have you found this to be useful then?
It has aided me more than once now.
Your use of it has called me to you.
Do you wish me to return it?
No. But I do wish you to find something for me while you're here. A rose, perfectly blue, perfectly preserved, somewhere in this hedge maze. I have seen it in my dreams. Perhaps you would be willing to leave your path to go and find it for me.
Will I be able to find the path again?
Perhaps, or perhaps not. Perhaps you shall wander this hedge maze for all time, but at least you will have me as your occasional companion, and surely that is some sort of compensation.
More than I deserve, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I will do as you ask.
Find the rose and bring it back here. And so now there's the matter of finding the blue rose. What do you do?
Well, she said it was off the path.
Mm-hmm.
And that stag statue was off the path. Perhaps I should return there and explore.
You will find very quickly that the rustling that you've been hearing is the hedge maze reforming and changing itself.
Mm.
Lady Peril's ring does help you navigate the space still, but you will have to try to navigate to find the blue rose. I suppose I just need to know how you intend to do that. Is there something about the blue rose itself or the ring that would help you hone in on it? I mean, this is almost like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Well, a blue rose would be most unusual.
Indeed.
Um, but I think, given that Lady Peril told me the rose was off the path, I'm looking for those when the maze shifts. I'm looking for those kind of liminal spaces between the path, between the hedge walls, and the dark spots where there is no path per se, but there is a space through which you could move.
Mm.
Looking for ways off to get between the walls of the maze almost.
Let's do a risk roll. I think as a general matter, whether it's a complication or failure, there's the risk of running into something dangerous. I think that Lady Peril's ring gives you your first light die, and Jack, you can make the devil's bargain.
No matter what, there is something in the forest, maybe a song that's on the wind, but it'll start to lead you deeper into what could be maybe like a trap or something that will keep you farther away from us.
think maybe Torum does hear such a song, but he's focused on his mission here, and he considers himself good at navigating mazes and good at avoiding distractions.
You've
And
proved this a number of times in the campaign already, right? Whether it's
so
the
I think
salt mines or a labyrinth game.
what else is a bull for than navigating labyrinths? So I think I'm going to risk it with the single die.
One die is all we get so far. I don't think a dark die applies quite yet.
A 2.
A 2. That's a failure. Would you like to add a dark die and try again?
Of course.
1 light, 1 dark.
5 light.
You will navigate to the Blue Rose, but you will discover that it is being guarded by something. Would you like to add a dark die to go for a 6 to avoid the Guardian?
I mean, my ruin is pretty low. On the other hand, what is a guardian to Torum? I think I'll stick with the role I have.
We'll come back to this. Alina, did you take up the orchid? You did. Now what?
Yep.
You'll probably see Berwin and Cassian getting closer to the manor from where you're at. I will tell you that you will find there is a path that goes around to the rear of the house. There might be another way in.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking that. Absolutely. Do you know how funny it's going to be if they open the doors and I'm already inside?
Very good. I love it. You go around to this side entrance. It appears to be like maybe like a little servant's entrance or something like that. It's very small, it's unadorned. You could almost miss it. Just a little plain wooden door. A plain wooden door that, well, leads to a portion of the house called the South Wing. When you go inside, you have to take a short stairway up to get to the house proper, because it was kind of like down below. Now you're kind of up level with the manor. You've entered the manor. Congratulations. As you look around a bit, you'll see that the wing has a series of larger halls functioning as a museum of sorts. Each room has displays of hunting trophies and hunting paraphernalia from around the world. The floors are dark marble, the walls are wood paneling, and it is all well lit by chandeliers burning candles that appear to shed no wax. This place is not abandoned like you were led to believe. There is a goal in the South Wing, which is to find the best trophy. There are a number of connected halls, each their own little museum. You'll see signs. One is the Hall of Plains, one is the Hall of Deserts, one is the Hall of Kaldur. Where do you go?
Well, clearly the best treasures are from Old Kaldur. So I'll go to that hall, and maybe the sisters will help lead me to something nice.
Indeed. Berwin and Cassian, you enter into the sort of main grand foyer of the manor. You have also accomplished the set goal. There is a wing to your left, which is actually facing the south. There's a wing, or a wing to your right, rather. There's a wing to your left, which, no, it would be to your left, it would be to the south. There's a wing to the right, which would be the north wing. There is also stairs, a grand staircase going up, which is where you saw that wolf go up to. You will hear, as you step inside, voices whispering up the stairs. But you're in. What do you do?
The first thing that Berwin does is he drops the circle ritual in the bag and kind of like rubs his shoulder. And even though the bag is pretty small, it's only like a pound of salt. He's like, you can tell he's like exhausted by having to spin this thing in the air for like 5 minutes, not even that much. Mr. Kaz, I thought you said this place was abandoned. And he kind of points upstairs into the whispering.
Yes, it should be. I fear we're not dealing with the situation we anticipated. What else was new?
Wisdom does declare that if we two go upstairs, we run into that wolf and whoever is upstairs. So I say that we keep things on the low, we keep things grounded, sneak about, as it were.
If they're wolves, they already know we're here.
Ah, fair point. Well, do we go meet them head on then?
Absolutely not.
No.
West Wing.
Sorry, the
West
options
it
are north
is.
and south.
Oh,
Well,
sorry. North, please.
north it is then.
The north wing, as you enter it, it's a maze of small rooms. Each room has 2, 3, even 4 doors. You can tell that most of them are small parlors with 1 or 2 chairs and a small table. Some have a fireplace with attendant hardware. The walls are all smooth plaster painted with bold colors. Ornate gilt bronze plaster moldings line the ceilings and doorways. Elk horn and bronze candelabra are lit in each room, either on a table or suspended from the ceiling. The candles have no wax strips. Someone is here. This is not abandoned.
I would like to see if there's any way to check for traffic or tracks or some form of like movement, specifically if there's like a movement to any specific doorways that we should follow.
I think that's a great idea. Go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Does my charm give me another light die at all?
No.
It's 5.
5. Go ahead and take your token. What are you doing in the meantime, Cassian?
I think Cassian is going to be doing much the same thing, but he's looking for the place where it looks like no one goes.
Ah, very interesting. Make a hunt roll.
Will my tracking help here?
Oh, to try to find the least navigated places?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Go ahead. Yeah.
A 5.
Very well. You can also take your token. We find ourselves, the party, completely split 4 different ways. Berwin and Cassian having lost track of each other in the north wing in all these strange assortment, a maze of interlocking tiny rooms. Torum in the grand hedge maze, trying to be the hero, searching for a blue rose for his fey lady. And Alina in the south wing, looking at the Marquess Niral's many trophies and treasures. Let's take a 5-minute break. Torum, you come upon the blue rose. Do you want to describe your navigation to it?
Sure, yeah, I think it's Torum is watching as the maze shifts around him, snapping his head around quickly when he starts to hear that rustling, and he starts to see these kind of passages between the walls almost. not passages, but gaps, spaces. And I think he just manages to eventually time his movement right, and it's fast enough. He does have a skill in speed that he can kind of turn and dash into one of these gaps and finds himself in a different space, kind of outside, in between the walls of the maze.
Indeed. You see the blue rose on a pedestal. Even though it's full daylight, you can see that the rose glows with an internal light. It's almost a fluorescent blue. You will also discover in this little gap clearing, the rose has a guardian. You barely manage to raise your weapon in time to block its first blow. And as you get back on your heels, you see what it is. It's a towering knight, towering over even you, perhaps 8, 9 feet tall, wearing armor that is fashioned to look like green leaves interlocking and swirling around each other. And the face of the helmet is the old man of the forest. This is a legendary knight of the deep woods, set to protect this blue rose. He carries a massive hammer, for such a knight would never carry a weapon that can cut or burn. And you catch the blow, but it's powerful and sends you reeling back on your heels. This might be your weak point, but do go ahead and roll weak point and tell me how you're vulnerable.
Mm. Four. I think I'm vulnerable because Torum recognizes that this is a Fey knight, and he has great respect and admiration for such beings, and he definitely considers it a worthy opponent. But I think maybe there's something in him that might hold back a little.
The knight is an endurance 9. Roll combat 1 die.
And try and get a 9.
Try to get a 9.
A 2. At least it wasn't a 4.
Give me the first round of combat. He doesn't hurt you, but you don't hurt him.
I think the first round of combat is really just Torm finding his footing in his space in this area, and it's marked by the two circling each other and the knight's great hammer swinging down, Torm sidestepping, looking for an opening, but really trying to get a gauge on the speed and technique of this warrior. Torm is surprisingly fast for his size.
Alina. The Hall of Kaldur. Immediately upon entering this room is a giant statue of the Old One of the Forest. You probably see it the same moment Torum is taking a blow from a knight wearing a helmet in the same visage. The statue's well over 12 feet tall. Its ivy and bramble-covered armor contains a fierce and wild-looking man. Fortunately for you, this is merely a bronze statue. The barbed spear it's holding is a real weapon, however. The remainder of the room, tastefully decorated in dark walnut wood and moody murals of the unusual landscapes of the Forest of Kaldur, contains taxidermy trophies of unnatural creatures, elk with blade-like hooves, boar with fungal manes, a gigantic boa constrictor with 3 heads, and other oddities. What do you do?
Does it look like this spear is the coolest thing in the room?
Probably.
Cool. I think I'm going to say a quick prayer to Saint Ursula, who is the saint of hunters and wrestling, apparently. And I'm going to reach up and grab the spear and pull it out of the grasp of the statue.
Touching the statue and spear triggers a trap.
Oh, crap.
The bronze bramble on the statue begins to shift and move, almost like tumblers locking into place, like you see the bramble and hedge depicted in the murals on the walls actually animate and close up the entrance to this museum. And you can see them again, almost like images slithering across the floor, the bramble and branches coming in toward you, reaching for you. You must make a risk roll to survive this situation. Failure is only one thing. You are torn to pieces. Please go ahead and tell me if you have a skill or equipment that will help you here.
Did I get the spear?
Sure.
I think I've got the spear.
And in an echo of the last scene, the spear has thorns and pricks your finger where the rose did.
That's what always happens. Yeah, I think since I have the spear in my hands, I'm going to react quickly and just sort of spear at the brambles as they come towards me, in hopes that that will help.
Work. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
like it. Everyone can offer a devil's bargain.
No matter what, you managed to make it through this because whatever's been pricking you has injected you with something, some kind of fey vitality that is going to start manifesting physically in you.
No matter what, you can't let go of the spear because those thorns pricking your fingers have kind of rooted into your hand, infused with bone underneath.
I think Berwin or Jackson Rob's kind of combine in one sense. That feels
Yeah.
like one
Yeah.
combined offer. I'll second it though. I like it.
No matter what, you won't be able to deny the presence and existence of the old one of the forest.
Damn
Oh,
it.
that's pretty good. A god much older than the
Yeah.
sisters.
I think I like the spear thing. That's so weird. It's such a weird thing to happen, and I want that.
2
Yeah.
light, 1 dark. Stakes are very high.
I rolled 5 light.
5 light. I'm going to make this really complicated, actually. I believe that you do survive. The spear not only like grafts itself to you, like you always have to have it in one hand, but I think the bramble also does. So you leave the scene this like pierced, brambled person. You bear stigmata of the old one of the forest. Unless you want to add a dark die and try again.
I'm gonna add a dark die and try it again.
Very well.
6
6 dark.
dark.
You do survive I do think that I'm going to give you a condition. You don't have to always carry the spear, but I think that some of the metal barbs of the spear have worked their way into your skin, and that's going to be your condition. Think about what the scene looks like, though, as you beat back this trap. Let's go to Berwyn. Both Berwyn and Cassian are in the north wing. Berwyn, what did you get on your die roll, on your hunt roll?
I got a 5.
A 5. You walk into a small parlor, one of a number that you've gone through. You see a single chair and table. Slumped in the chair is the body of a long-dead treasure hunter. The skin is leathered and taut, cracked around the joints. The clothes are typical for the working classes in Fort Durin, a bit out of date. The boots are in pretty good shape, though, all things considered. Inside this room, it appears to be like the dead person was actually looking at this, gazing at it from their seated position, an oil painting of 2 nude men dueling with daggers. The placard says painting is called The Canadian School by Baron Castermain. It's oil on board, 18 inches by 23 inches. What do you do?
Yeah, I think he walks in, clearly still looking for tracks, and sees the body. He's like, oh my. And then he turns to the painting and says, oh my. So quite some daggers. And he scuttles over to the dead man. And you said these the boots look still pretty in good condition. Are they remarkable in any other way? Or is it just like they're well preserved?
Make a hunt roll.
Okay. I have crafting as a skill. Would that sort of help me in
Sure. Yeah.
appraising?
Mm-hmm.
6.
6 light. Yeah, the boots are really, really beautiful shape. They are well leathered, well made. Good thick soles. They even have a embossed like crest on each of them. Their condition and the crest makes them worth 1 gold.
Don't mind me. And I'll go under and start to very gently as I can slide them off. But I think he's not a gentle person. And so there's a point where he just kind of breaks off below the knee. Well, he's kind of like empties out the leg bones and stuffs the boot into a sack.
As soon as you touch the boots, you're kneeling down in front of the corpse, you're going for the boots, and you hear,
Yes.
the corpse, the head has lolled forward, the eyes cracked and desiccated in their sockets, the jaw working up and down. You've managed to get 1 boot off, and you realize that this person has feet that are bifurcated and thickened at the bottom. Not quite hooves, but certainly hoof-like. it just jumps on you and begins clawing and scratching and pounding. This is the combat. Roll. How are you? Roll your weak point and tell me how you're vulnerable.
I'm vulnerable because I'm soft and squishy. It's a 6 on the weak point. Yeah, soft, squishy. I only have a crossbow, um, and also very surprised, terrified.
Yeah, this is going to be a combat 7. Do go ahead and roll 1 die for the first round. I will say that using your crossbow as a bludgeoning instrument, I don't even know if that's allowed in the rules. I think it maybe, I'm not sure, but I think you're putting your crossbow in danger, right? Like you could
Okay.
probably damage it pretty easily.
Yeah, it's 4.
4. Give me the first round. What does it look like?
Um, yeah, so the corpse buying at him leaps on top of him, and Berwin is screaming and wailing, kicking away as much as he can. But the thing is supernaturally strong. I mean, it's obviously supernatural enough to do this. So I think he doesn't have time to even reach for his crisp crossbow. He's just sort of like trying to keep it from hitting him in the face. But he's got it by the wrists, and the thing is just sort of snapping his jaw and bawing at him incessantly.
Mm-hmm. Cassian, you find yourself in a long gallery, a room that has only one entrance, very, very dusty, near the base of the door. No one goes in here. The room is long but narrow, so narrow that a tall person could touch both walls at the same time. It is devoid of ornamentation save for the far wall. A single chair is at that far end facing that far wall. Next to the chair is a tall candelabra brightly lighting its immediate area. Curled around the base of the chair is a statue of a hound. There appears to be something behind a curtain that the chair is pointing towards. What do you do?
Well, I think Cassian figures that if this room isn't used very much, it's either something not at all valuable or something very valuable indeed. So he's going to give that chair as wide a berth as he can and approach the curtain and pull it back.
Behind the curtain is a painting. The placard says, "The ecstasy of remuneration in the house of pleasure." Oil on stretched leather, 36-inch square. Do you have a skill that would give you, that's like history or lore or anything like that?
Well, he did work in the palace in Ambaret for a time. Would he have picked up on anything?
That is certainly possible. But as a Kingsguard, I don't think you know anything about this painting in particular. I'm not even going to describe what it depicts. I am, however, going to tell you that before you even realize you're doing it, you find yourself sitting in the chair staring at the painting. Do go ahead and make a risk roll. The only thing that can go wrong here is that none of your companions ever find this lonely long corridor, and you sit here for the remainder of your natural days. Do you have a skill that will help you?
I wonder if being unbothered by silence might be of use.
Unbothered by silence.
I have the skill of silence.
Oh. Oh yeah, I kind of like the idea of like you're able to like silence your mind almost, like whatever's making you sit down here and sit. I'm into it. Go ahead and roll. Well, you got one light die. Rob, you can make the devil's bargain.
No matter what, you will be silent from now on.
You never speak. Oh, how interesting. What a terrible devil's bargain.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna have to pass on that one. That
You have one light and one dark.
light 6.
Light 6. Think about how you managed to resist the lure of this painting. And let's check in with Torum. Torum, you are fighting this Fey Knight, towering Fey Knight with its hammer, Dark Souls style. Round 2, combat 2. Looking for a total of 9.
6, including 1 4.
You take a hit. Unless you mark armor, you'll take the hit with 1 ruin. But give me the combat round. What does it look like?
Yeah, I think Torum thinks he spotted the kind of way to get past the knight's guard and times his swing, but the knight is faster and has actually successfully kind of lured him into a trap. It's a false opening, and as Torum's large sword swings, the hammer is already swinging toward him and knocks him aside. My rune's quite low, so I'm gonna take the hit, I think, and save the armor for another time.
If you wish to continue, you can certainly run away and abandon the quest. But if you wish to continue, it's a combat 3.
Continue. I just got triple ones. At least that's not my weak spot.
It's not your weak point, at least. But it's perhaps presaging what might be happening here. Do go ahead and give me this next round. What does it look like?
Yeah, I think it's the knight has turned the tables on him after luring him into this feint, and the Torum is just on the back foot, doing everything he can to dodge the swings of this hammer, and he is absolutely unable to find any kind of opening in the knight's defense.
We'll come back to this. Alina, you can tell by having this object in your hand, especially as it breaks off some metal thorns into your body, you can tell that this spear is an object of great power. That much is obvious. This barbed spear. It's actually quite long. It has the proportions of a short spear, but the size is long. It's actually longer than most pole arms. Go ahead and describe how you keep these magical vines at bay. Did we just lose Amanda?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I think you would kind of expect these vines and brambles to look like slithering eels, but it's different than that. It's more like, when you watch roots of a tree break through concrete, it's that, but in so like much faster motion. It's not the growth of the tree, it's accelerated. And they're coming towards me. I take the spear that I just pulled down from this statue just a moment before, and not terribly gracefully, just stab into each of the branches and brambles as they come towards me. And it's almost like fighting a snake, where tries to find its way in, and I try to stab it back. I think there's probably spots of blood dripping down from my hands as I'm gripping this spear with all of my might. But somehow I managed to fight it back enough that it just sort of deflates, like it gives up and just lies there like regular tree roots.
You have acquired the legendary Spear of Thorns. It is a
Since
magic
I have a
item.
skill in lore, do I know anything else about it?
Yes, you do. The legendary Spear of Thorns can only be effectively wielded by a large, strong person. You may have trouble with it in a more less sort of like wild situation. That said, if it's wielded in combat, the wounds it creates sprout constricting thorny brambles from the incisions. If you end up keeping it after the adventure, you have to increase your burdens by 1, but if you sell it, it's worth 6 gold.
Ooh.
Berwyn, boots.
Boots down, mama. Yes.
you have a combat 2 against this endurance 7 thing. This little thrashing thing happening right now. Thrashing and bleeding.
6.
6. What was your weak point?
It was
It was 6.
6. Yeah, but this is 3 and 3.
This is 3 and 3. Yeah. Okay. Keep it going. What's happening?
Yeah. So still screaming and shrieking, Berwyn starts to reach for anything in range, and his fingers grab something long and solid and hard, and he just reaches up and cracks the head of this creature with its own fibia, and kind of creates like a little dent. And there's a moment where Berwyn thinks he's got it, but then it does that sort of cinematic where it pauses, but then does that slow turn back to face him, and then just goes back to shrieking and tearing at him again, and the whole thing continues. And it's not like they've gotten anywhere further beyond just
It's not
wrestling
combat.
and shrieking.
It's just
Yeah.
it's combat is what it is.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
combat. It's combat. You can go ahead and take the 3rd round as well.
That's another 6 total.
But still no weak point. So it's just another
Yeah, it's just another little wrestle fest.
flailing and thrashing.
Yeah. They're just kind of batting at each other. Yeah. But I think at one point though, just to make it extra gross, that in the scuffle, one of the eyes falls out of the creature's skull and into Berwyn's mouth, and he starts to gag on it a bit.
Oh my god, it's like Evil Dead 2 suddenly.
Yeah.
This whole situation. Yeah. I love it. Cassian, you can hear the painting whispering to you. You don't even realize you sat down. You sat down and just started casually, affectionately stroking the nape of the stonehound's neck as you look at the painting. The painting wants you to sit and stare. The painting. The ecstasy of remuneration in the house of pleasure. And yet you manage to silence your mind enough to eject it from you. What is that like?
Without going into what the painting depicts, what kind of feelings would it evoke broadly?
You are looking upon something from the ancient world, a treasure of incredible value. The sort of things that lords and kings and queens would pay vast sums of money for. Abandoned here at the Marquess Niral's manor, chucked, well, not chucked, actually hung quite conspicuously or quite intentionally hidden in a secret corridor, little traveled. It is the power of something old like that. An object so old it's managed to learn of the world. It's managed to gain sentience. It's managed to express.
I think that as he is looking at it and becoming more aware of its age and its power, the ideas of what it could give him is what kind of locks him in the seat for some time. The idea that all of these riches and power that he used to walk past every day, with this, it could be his, and his mind goes to that image of that life. And it's only as he realizes that this life that he's living in his mind, it's silent, and it shouldn't be silent. There's no way that makes sense. And it's that allows him to realize he's become entrapped.
Let's go back to our battle with Fey Knight Torum. What combat round are we on now? 4?
4.
All right, combat 4.
Well, that's a total of 10, but I got two hits that
Yeah.
round.
Go ahead and describe how you defeat it.
Yeah, I think Torum realizes that what he's been trying thus far is not going to work, and eventually he just resorts to brute force. He waits until the hammer has swung past him and bull rushes the knight, pushing him back into the hedge and onto the ground, and brings the blade of his sword up one-handed and just hews at it until he's able to cut through its face and its head.
Fantastic.
And I'm going to mark armor to
block the two endurance or the
block
2
the
ruin
2
hit.
endurance, 2 ruin, yeah.
While we're here, go ahead and roll gold 9. One.
Yep.
It's the armor. It would have been worth 2 if you had not damaged the helmet, but the armor, the Fey Knight's armor is worth 1 gold. You can take that as you wish. Whoever's managing the bestiary is responsible here forthwith. You're responsible for figuring out what the name of this knight is, what it's called, and you can work that out with the group. I don't even know if we have a record keeper at the moment, but whenever we do.
If Torum even tells you about this.
That's a good point too, yeah. The Guardian defeated the Blue Rose. Sits waiting, glowing on its pedestal. What do you do?
I slowly and respectfully approach and take it.
You hear Lady Peril approach from behind you. She says, "Many years ago, the Marquess Niral stole this from me.
Its guardian was a worthy opponent."
It has taken some time to maneuver you into place, my champion, to get it back for me. Now, of course, there is the simple matter of you returning it. Hold it for now. Return it to me, and I shall reward you greatly."
It would be my honor, my lady. And I think he even takes a knee in front of her.
Hmm. You can add Lady Peril's Rose to your found equipment. You could sell it. It would be worth 3 gold. Meanwhile, Berwyn, combat 4.
All right. Yeah. What was the endurance again?
7.
Okay, yeah, totally.
2
kills it.
5s.
It's yeah.
And no 6s.
No 6s, thankfully. So as the slap party continues, both of them batting at each other, both of them shrieking at each other, I think there's this sort of moment of adrenaline where Berwyn just can't take it anymore. He's tasted eyeball and he just plunges his thumbs into the eye sockets of this ghoul and starts smashing the side of its head where the crater he made with the leg bone on the side of the head. He just sort of like keeps bashing that part in until finally the head just sort of pops off. And still on his thumbs, the rest of the body sort of collapses, and he throws the head in the opposite direction off of his thumbs and kind of very very briskly starts to wipe off his hands. But yeah, things seems to not be moving anymore.
The boots are yours. They're worth 1 gold.
Fabulous.
Alina, once you've got the situation under control inside this corridor, this little museum, the Hall of Kaldur, there's really nothing else to find in here. This was kind of the main function of this room. What do you do?
I would like to use a ritual. I would like to use guide to conjure a thread to follow. What I'm hoping is to appeal to the sisters and have them lead me to more treasure, things that are worth quite a lot more, and also maybe no traps. We'll see what the
I like
sisters
it.
think.
You are going to I like this. What could go wrong is you're led straight to danger. Do you have skills or equipment that will help you here with your guide?
I have skills in spirits. I don't know if that really works. I think actually maybe my skill in lore, because if this is an ancient, um, abandoned place, then a lot of stuff might be here that I might recognize from stories or lore or
So you can kind of help the guide you in a way, in a sense.
yeah. So I know if I'm walking by something, if it's worth
Oh,
anything.
good. Yeah, I'll take that. And you've got 1 light die. Ben, you can make the devil's bargain.
I'm going to go with what I suggested last time again. You can't deny the existence and power of the Old One of the Forest.
Ah, man. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it.
2 light, 1 dark, and because of your condition with the thorns, I think the thorns might try to lead you into somewhere you don't want to go. I'm going to give you
Yeah.
another dark. This is 2 light, 2 dark.
6 dark.
6 dark. Your ruin goes up.
I'm at ruin 5.
Wow, already.
Yeah.
The golden thread actually leads you into a part of this same gallery that you were in. The thread actually merges with the mural painted on the wall. And the thread in the mural is going through the forest. And you see now that the mural has painted in it almost like kind of camouflaged. You see the face of the Old One of the Forest at various intervals. And when the thread finally ends on one part of the mural, you see the Old One of the Forest beckoning to you. You feel the thorns shifting around underneath your skin as the Old One beckons to you. And much like Cassian experienced, you're feeling the ancient world. You're feeling power that existed long before the time of the sisters. When you touch that place on the wall, there's a and that part of the wall swings in, showing a little corridor, a long corridor. What do you do?
Well, I've gone this far. I'm going to walk through the corridor.
And yet, the thread goes the other way as well, out of the gallery. Two options.
I'm going to go through the corridor first. Because clearly I'm meant to see this. Clearly I'm meant to see this. The sisters have led me here. I can feel the power of this older god that I don't understand. But the sisters clearly want me to follow this trail and
This
follow this
corridor,
old god.
this corridor rather quickly stops being wood and plaster and stonework and starts being hedge and branch and grass and loam. And yet it is still a tight corridor of bramble and branch, leading you somewhere. Somewhere into the Caldur, perhaps. Hopefully another part of the manor. Who knows? But that's where we'll leave you for today. Torum, once you have the blue rose in hand, where do you go? You're muted.
I'll be looking for the center of the maze once more.
Wandering around the maze. We'll come back to that. Berwin, once you have your hard fought for boots, what do you do?
I was wondering, could I take down the painting and pluck it from its frame, like pull
Oh,
it
and like
off?
roll it up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you do that, let's see here. Can't remember what the painting is called, but I'll get the name for you real quickly. The Canidian School. I'll clip that for you. By Baron Castermain. It is worth 2 gold.
Fabulous. Then yeah, dusts himself off. Imagine he kicks the skull into like a nearby fireplace that's not lit. And yeah, he's gonna keep looking around, calling out to Kazian and seeing if he can find him.
Oh, and also roll a 7 gold before a gold roll before you leave, in case the
Nope.
body had other things on it besides the boots.
And if I did. Two gold.
Hey, not bad. The body also has on it a dagger sheath, missing the knife, however. But the sheath has quite rather beautiful embroidery and complex knotwork, or the embroidery is complex knotwork, and within each knot are jewels. It's worth 2 gold. Berwin's collecting his treasures. Torum is trying to find the center of the maze. Alina is wandering fuck all somewhere into the forest. And Cassian You have just managed to break free from the allure of this very ancient painting. What do you do?
I would also like to take the painting.
You can, as soon as you remove it from the wall. I will tell you out of character, it's an object that's nearly priceless. But since we must put a price on it, that price is 20 gold. But it can only be sold to a great king or lord or lady. And I will tell you, having this in your possession makes you a big target for people in the world who would want such a thing. And also, you have this incredibly ancient, powerful, ensorceling painting in your person as well. So, big asterisk on those 20 gold, but nevertheless, 20 gold. As you grab the painting down, the stone hound animates, stands up from the chair. Its stone lips peel back from its stone teeth, and it lets out a gravelly sounding snarl. But it doesn't sound like an animal so much as it sounds like a bunch of rocks being knocked together in a tumbler. You realize now as it takes its full height that's quite large. It's faithfully carved from stone, even down to the quality of its fur. It stands about near chest height to you. And that's where we will end the session for you as well. A good reintroduction into the campaign. Let's go ahead and do Stars and Wishes.
Real quick, I had a question, just because it's been a minute since we played. So the 2 gold that I rolled, is that in addition to the dagger sheath, or that is the dagger
That's
sheath?
the dagger sheath is that. That's
Okay,
what
got it.
I'm accounting for the what you found. Yeah. Stars and Wishes. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. First off, those cliffhangers, that's a big star. That was such a great place to end things. Notes, Torum and the mazes, this continuing theme in our bull beast bitten friends life is really good, and I'm glad that you are just leaning right into that, Rob. And also the development with Lady Peril, that is probably going to be very bad, and so I love it. Berwyn's salt circle solution as we walked past the wolves, I thought that was clever. And also, who doesn't love a good impotent slap fight between a corpse and a probably soon to be one. But we're all almost corpses. Alina being almost a corpse already, big star. That's great. And also just Alina's head empty, just sisters. I love that so much. And big star for Jason's angry bleating. That was a very good, very evocative sound. Wishes. I knew that stone dog was gonna wake up. I'm looking forward to seeing Cassian, who is not a combat guy, fight a stone hound. And also, I'm looking forward to us getting back together and seeing how all that, catching up on what we've all missed.
Yeah, I would definitely give a star for like Alina's nonsense with the sisters and just her kind of naive headfirst approach to everything. And I really enjoyed Berwyn like getting separated and into a potentially pretty deadly combat when he's like not much of a fighter. That was fun, and it was a really fun parallel to Torum, who is much more of a much more comfortable engaging in hand-to-hand combat at the same time. And I really enjoyed that kind of semi-epic battle that I had against the Fey Knight, that it went that many rounds. And yeah, that was real fun. It was a good reintroduction to the campaign. And yeah, I enjoyed Cassian's all this kind of stuff that kind of seems to be leading into his belief system. And now, like, I'm really excited to see how he interacts with Alina now that she's got this spear fused to her hand that is something kind of he's probably going to regard as some kind of sacred object or something. And I'm really enjoying as Ben said, the whole Lady Peril thing, which is giving Torum this opportunities to kind of, like, as he sees it, kind of getting good with the Fey court, and that's all in service of his drive.
I had a great time. I really I love this incursion, and I loved the opportunities to see so much of it because you all split up. That was really fun. There is a really particular moment when you probably will all come back together in this incursion. But for now, it's fun to kind of go around, explore the grounds, explore all the different things. Um, I loved how we were able to kind of like weave in different story elements from prior in the campaign and make them kind of relevant now. Um, I have to say it was very, very enjoyable to have these, like, you know, these like kind of mystical, epic kind of things happening. Torum fighting this Fey Knight with the blue rose, and Alina finding this like rare, legendary weapon, and having to, like, deal with this like elaborate trap, and Cassian finding this incredibly ancient sentient painting, and and like contrasted with Berwyn just like slap fighting, Evil Dead, fighting this corpse. It was really amazing. It was so good. Um, and yeah, it's just really fun. It was great to see all the characters again, to be kind of reintroduced to them, reintroduced to the campaign, and very excited for you all to go to the next big kind of set piece of this incursion, which is kind of the main reason why you do this incursion. Um, and I think it's gonna be a good time. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the stars that are already given out. I really love the relationship between Lady Peril and Torum. I'm just fascinated about what is going on there and what she wants, from him, and how this is all going to play out. I'm excited for when that happens, and I hope it does. That's a wish. I really liked. Oh, I love Berwyn. I love Berwyn. Berwyn's awesome. He's so funny. There was a moment where Berwyn wanted to like jump right into the fray, like, oh, let's go then. And Cassian was like, no, what's wrong with you? And it was just that was such a beautiful, quick moment that really told you exactly who these two characters are in relation to each other. And I really liked that. I liked Cassian's dealing with the old gods, and Ben just really, really leaning heavy on the old god stuff. Like, it was perfect. It was so perfect.
Oh yeah,
Um,
star for Ben using the Devil's Bargain as a
yeah,
meta way
yeah,
of like tormenting Alina. I loved it. So
yeah.
good.
It was perfect. It's so good. I that's one of the things I really liked about this session is that it's showing this juxtaposition of all the characters. Like Cassian's quiet dedication to the old god, and Alina's not quiet dedication to the sisters. Like, you can really see the big difference, how much it's performative. And then you can see the difference between Berwyn and Torum, who is usually the big fighter, in this caught in this maze that is a little bit more psychological, and then Berwyn, who is probably not an intellect, maybe, but definitely not a big fighter, caught up in this fight scene. I thought it was really great to have everybody on display like that. And started Jason for getting us back in the groove. It's been a really long break. We've been away for like 5 months. So we're just really, you know throwing us in the pool, but throwing out some, life rafts, I guess. I don't know. That analogy totally fell apart. Also great gross noises this session. So
Yeah, I'll double up on that star of like, I think it was not intentional because you all chose to do what you chose to do, but like it was really fun that I think it was nice that like all of you kind of splitting up. That was actually a great way to reintroduce the characters because you all got to kind of shine as individuals and we get to see you as individuals, and it just it was almost like an extra reminder of kind of what they're all about and what their deal was. So it was really good. Like I think that's how the pickup on the new season of the TV show would go, right? Like it would like show them kind of like you would kind of relearn them or whatever. So yeah. Or in Berwyn's case, kind of be introduced to him, right? We only saw Berwyn very briefly before. So
Yeah, only that little one shot. Yeah, no, a lot of what I was going to start has already been said, like the kind of juxtapositions between the heroicism and the kind of epicness of everybody else, and then Berwyn getting into a cat fight with a ghoul. But other things that kind of that stuck out to me, and this is just sort of an overall star for Rob, but like I continually am really interested in this depiction of this sort of like hulking, fighter, barbarian kind of, character with these massive horns, but not playing him in the sort of typical way. He's got refinement, he has refined taste, and this relationship with Lady Peril is continuing to sort of explore that. And I'm just really invested in seeing more of that. And sort of as a wish too, with the sort of bull horns and the beast bitten history, I'm curious to see, like, does that refinement come into conflict with that past, and does that kind of like be a continuous conflict? So I'm curious to see if that plays out anymore. Ben, I thought it was really clever the way that you framed your result against being trapped by the painting. The idea that you were using this sort of meditative silence to keep your composure. I thought that was really cool. And pairing it with Jason's description of it, and your description of like the absence of happiness and noise from this place that would otherwise be really joyous and debaucherous. I thought that was really interesting little flavor note. And then for Alina, I just really thought that I love she's the kind of character you love to see get humbled because she's very, she's very sure of herself. She's very sure of the world that she lives in, and she's constantly being confronted by things that conflict with that. And so like the determination that, oh well, I'm just going to go off on my own and I'm going to get into the house before they do, and it's going to be, I'm going to be the all-star here, only to end up in this sort of religious existential crisis and with like metal in your skin now, which is also to Jason a really gnarly detail. The visual is very good. And then the bleeding, the buying, always a good time with the sounds. And no other wishes that I could think of that haven't been already even mentioned. But I do want to get us back together and see what this is all about.
Mm-hmm. Any other stars and wishes?
I just wanted to say a big star for like everyone's Devil's Bargains were particularly good this session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Fantastic. Well, that was wonderful. It was great to be back with you all. And I'm excited to continue on next week. Let's wave goodbye to people watching the video. Bye.